Hi, I'm Sharon Bill. Welcome to my Theory Tuition series where we're working together step by step through each of the ABRSM theory grades. There are lots of resources available to help you on my website. If you visit sharonbill.com, you'll find some free PDF information sheets. You can download those in US letter or A4 and they accompany each step of this series. You'll also find links to all of my YouTube video tutorials there, and you can access information about the books that I have available. I've written how to take your ABRSM Music Theory Exam. It's full of tips and techniques on how to best prepare for your exam, and also how to make the best use of the time on exam day when you're actually working through your exam paper. So if you go to sharonbill.com, you'll find it all there. If you can give me a like, that'd be fab, and subscribe to my channel to keep updated. And so now we're going to press on and have a look at the Grade 5 2017 Paper B. So if you turn with me to page 10, we can have a look at this together. I always suggest that you have a go of this yourself first of all. It doesn't matter if you go wrong. It's always better to learn by your mistakes. You'll learn it much more thoroughly that way. Always write in pencil, and then it doesn't matter if you go wrong. You can just rub it out and have another go. You'll also need an eraser to hand. So have a nice sharp pencil and your eraser and your ruler, and then we're ready to go. And so I'm hoping you've had a little go of this. So we'll have a look at this together now. Question 1 asks us to rewrite the following extract here, and we need to correctly group or beam the notes. So we need to look at our time signature, and we need to reflect that time signature and show where each new beat falls, and then bear in mind the relevant exceptions to that rule. So we're in common time, which is 4/4, which means 4 quarter notes or 4 crotchet beats per bar, and so we need to show that in the way that we beam the notes so that the performer can see easily where each new beat falls. And so we know that, and now this is where, if your maths isn't so hot, just like mine really isn't, I imagine there's my full beat, and then I divide it into halves for my quavers or eighth notes, and then quarters for my semiquavers or quarter notes, and so I just find it much easier to visualize it that way. So we know that 4 quarter beats gives me a whole crotchet or a whole beat for this time signature. 1, 2, 3, 4. So before we start writing out here, I'm just going to do the thinking. So we know that we got a quarter and a quarter, and then we got a half, which gives us that other beat. Quarter, quarter, half adds up to 1. Now we've got 1.5 here because of the dot, and then this remaining half a beat here of these 2 quarter notes belongs to that, so those will have to be beamed together to finish this dotted note off. So we've got a half a beat and a half a beat, that gives us 1. Now don't forget the rest as well. So we've got a half a beat here, so there's a half of a beat, and then 2 quarter notes finish that beat. If you get trapped by seeing 4 semiquavers, 4 16th notes and beaming them together, that would be incorrect because those 2 semiquavers belong to this half of a beat here. So there's our next beat. Then we've got 2 quarters of a beat and a half, there's a beat. And then we've got a half a beat and 2 quarters, so there's our next beat. So we've done the thinking now, we just need to rewrite this. So I'm just going to get all the blobs in first, no thinking required here. If you break it down into simple, easy stages, it takes a lot of the thinking away and you don't get confused. I've got enough to think about without worrying about too much in one go. So I'm keeping all of my note heads, all the blobs are aligned here. Oh, that's a very technical term there, blobs. So that I know I'm not going to run out of space, and I'm also spacing it accurately to reflect the timings, and also I'm not going to get lost which note I'm on. So it just keeps it simple to just follow their spacing. So perhaps get those a bit bigger. So we're dividing all the thinking and breaking it down into manageable chunks so you don't get overwhelmed, and that way you're not going to make a silly mistake. So we know that these are going to be beamed together. So if I just get these outside notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, and beam those together. And then these 3 will come together. Just angle that down slightly to show. But those 2, there we go. So those 2 will come together. There we go, and you can see straight away that's so much easier for perform. You can see beat 1, beat 2, beat 3 and a half, and then there's the final bit. So here's a beat, and then these 2 notes here belong to the rest here, and then these come together. We've already done that thinking, so it's just mapping it out. Job done. There we go. So it's not a bad question, that isn't really. It's quite a nice question, although there's no bad questions. But that's a particularly pleasant one, I think, because you've done all your thinking in one little go, and then we're ready to move on. So have a go at this. We're going to be relating back to this, so you need to keep your finger on this page even as we move on. So we've got, first of all, some performance directions that are found here, but we can just work through these without reference to the extract really. Remember, this is all of grade 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 terms accumulated, so there's an awful lot. We've got Italian, we've got French, we've got German, we've got symbols. There's quite a lot to go at, so there's no alternative but to just really crack into some revision. Get creative with your revision, and I find it much easier to group things thematically rather than alphabetically. So compile all of your grade 1 terms to do with slow, for example, and even colour code, and then add to it all of the terms that fit into that category of slow, for example. And then it's a bit of a better way of keeping hold of these meanings. By all means, colour code it, whatever it takes to just help them stay in your mind. So here we go. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce this. However, I do know that it means very. It's kind of a linking word, so that would come in the linking word section if I were revising that. Ruhig, I suppose that might be pronounced. Do apologise. However, I do know that that means peaceful. And here, this is a performance direction. Now, we've got to be careful here because it means to perform at a different octave, but you need to be careful whether it's an octave higher or an octave lower. And because the line, it could be a solid line or a dotted line. And I think you first came across this in grade 1, so it might be a while since you've referred to this. And because it's above, it means perform it an octave higher. If it was below, then it would mean perform an octave lower. So this is a perform an octave higher. So it's easy to get confused with that. So here we go. So we need to describe the signature as simple or compound. Then we're describing whether it's duple, triple or quadruple. So let's go back and have a look. So our bottom number is 4, which means we're counting in quarters, 2 quarter notes or 2 crotchet beats. And we can see that that's a time signature that divides into 2 quavers, and so that is simple time, and there are 2 beats in a bar, and so we know that it's duple time, so it's simple duple. There we go. So just keep this to hand because we're still going to need to refer to it, but we'll turn over the page and have a look at the next. Oh no, we finished that bit. Oh, that was quickly done. Okay, we're done. Let's move on to question 2. I thought we got another bit of that to do. So question 2 refers to intervals. And so we've got to describe fully these intervals, the melodic intervals, because they come one after another. No matter which way it comes around, you're always counting up from the lowest note, and you always think of this lowest note as your tonic, your key note, and then just add any key signatures or accidentals from that point. But this is always your starting point. So first of all, we can just do the easy peasy bit and get half marks straight away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's a sixth of some sort, so that's half marks straight away. The only way you can get confused there is you forget to count the given note as 1. And then now, if we're thinking of, this is our keynote, we're thinking in C major or C minor. We're going from C to A flat. C major would have no flats. C minor would have A flat. It's part of your minor scale. And also you can see it's been made smaller. C to A would be major and minor is smaller. It's a smaller interval by a semitone. So it's a minor sixth. Carrying on, 1, 2, 3, 4, so we're in a fourth, and we're going from F to B flat. Remember your key signature, and so that's part of, nothing's been changed from the major or minor, so that's a perfect fourth. Now here we've got an interval that exceeds an octave, and I always suggest it's easier to think of this as a compound interval, because then you're already still aware of what your perfects are without learning new numbers. So I'm going to jump the octave and take it from there. So straight away we know it's a 1, 2, 3. It's a compound third. So I'm just going to do that but leave a gap. You could also say it's a tenth. Now we're going from B flat to D. B flat major would have D naturals in it. It's part of the major scale. Nothing's been reduced, so that's a major third. So it's a compound major third, or you could say a major tenth if you prefer to work it that way and just count straight up. So here we go again. So straight away we can think 1, 3, 5. It's a fifth of some sort. So that's half marks straight away. Now it's quite tricky to imagine that you're in G major, G sharp major, sorry. And so we're going, I would work from G, we're going from G sharp to D. However, I'm going to go from G to D. Now that would be a perfect fifth. But then because it's G sharp, we've made the interval smaller by raising the lower note, and so we've actually made a perfect interval smaller, and so it becomes diminished. There we go. And then here we've got a 1, 3, 5 sevenths, and we're going from E flat, remember because of your key signature, to D. E flat major has B flats, E flats, A flats, so D would be part of the major scale, and so we know that's a major seventh. So there we go. So that's that question completed. We'll have a look at the next question in the next video. I do hope that's helpful to you, and I hope that you're enjoying it. I certainly am. If you can give me a like, that'd be fab. That'd be really encouraging, and do subscribe to keep updated. There's lots in store. Please also do go to sharonbale.com and make use of all of the resource that's available to help you there. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.